Today we are having a bit of a very personal, very intimate story time. And if you are here, it's either because you felt drawn by the mystic thumbnail of this video, or maybe you have heard whispers of ISTA from your liberated, beautiful, radiant friends. And maybe you wondered, what is their secret? Why do they shine so bright? And they had only one answer: ISTA. So before we dive into my personal journey, I invite you to discover what ISTA actually is. ISTA stands for International School of Temple Arts, a global transformational movement that integrates spirituality and sexuality as expressions of life force energy. It expands human consciousness, dissolving shame, fear, and conditioning around the body, emotions, and spirit. Drawing from diverse traditions, Tantra, Kabbalah, Ayurveda, witchery, yoga, shamanism, and various mystery schools, ISTA offers trainings, festivals, and events worldwide, all designed to liberate, awaken, and empower. Juicy, huh? So how did I first heard of ISTA? The first time I heard of ISTA was from this bubbly Hawaiian man that I met at an ecstatic dance event in Portugal. And he mentioned ISTA in our conversation for whatever reason, but what struck me the most was that he couldn't really fully explain what ISTA was, or maybe I wasn't able to understand. Curious, I looked it up on YouTube, but none of the accounts that I heard and none of the videos that I watched really gave me the full picture of what it was. All I knew was that it had something to do with sex, and a lot of it, and it was an organization. And that last part really made me uncomfortable. Some old conditioning in my mind said, watch out, it's a sect. So I just dropped the topic, forgot about it, and continued my life. It took 2 more ecstatic dance friends mentioning ISTA and a very powerful ayahuasca ceremony before it finally clicked. And my ayahuasca personal growth journey is a topic for another video, but let's just say that it brought me closer to the divine feminine and sacred sexuality, and I knew I was ready for the next step. As time passed, my curiosity grew, and warning bells, I went into the 9th circle of hell, aka Reddit, to read about ISTA. And of course, as Reddit goes, the accounts that I found there were far from positive. And mostly they were not even written by the participants, but by their partners, or rather ex-partners. Doesn't matter, I read it all. I wanted to be prepared. And what I found there didn't really scare me. There were some crazy stories there, but nothing really to make me feel like, oh, I need to cancel my retreat. But it did make me more aware, more vigilant. There was only one fear that stuck with me, and that was that, what if I get brainwashed into doing something that I will regret months afterwards? Now, as I record this video, it's been 5 months since my level 1 training. And let me tell you, not only do I not regret anything, but my life has transformed in ways that I have never imagined. The training was spectacular, magnificent, sacred, moving, fantastic. I regret nothing, so much so that I am heading to level 2 next month. Of course, I can't speak for every participant. The magic of ISTA depends on a very meticulous alchemy. The facilitators, the assistants, the participants, the land itself, all of that matter. But most of all, it depends on you and how deep you're willing to go. So let's dive in. First of all, the place matters. It becomes part of the shamanic alchemy that shapes your journey. I did my level 1 in a stunning retreat center in Portugal, where I live. The retreat center was nestled in a lush, juicy green valley. The landscape was breathtaking, surrounded by streams of water, misty mornings, and a peaceful canal where we could swim. There was even that beautiful high bridge that was perfect for some contemplative walks. I took that walk once. I almost shut my pants. And then I got lost. It was fun. The retreat center itself was spectacular, just amazing. It had so many lovely facilities. There was a sauna, there was a meditation room, lots of spaces to do yoga, and there was even a bio pool, natural pool, where you could swim alongside frogs and snakes. But small snakes, baby snakes, really cute ones. The rooms were cute and cozy, whether private or shared. But really, you shouldn't worry too much about that because the entire experience happens in the communal spaces, whether in the training venue or around the dinner table or at the temple. So don't worry too much about choosing between a private or shared room because you are not going to spend too much time there. You will only sleep there. And speaking of nourishment, oh my God, that retreat center in Portugal had amazing meals, beautiful. I think I put on 1 or 2 kilos when I was there. And while I cannot promise that every ISTA training has the same quality of facilities and food, in general, ISTA offers vegetarian, wholesome, and deeply nourishing meals. So, if you have that beautiful freedom to choose your ISTA location wherever in the world, I would recommend to go for a place that really calls to you on a deeper level. Whether it's a place that you feel strangely, inexplicably curious about, or maybe it's close home and it feels very safe and natural and organic to do it there, just go for it. For me, I did my ISTA in Portugal, where I have been living for the past few years. And Portugal has definitely been a place of deep transformation for me. I already have done here a lot of rituals, a lot of spiritual work, a lot of plant medicine ceremonies. And doing ISTA Level 1 here was just an extension of my transformation. Plus, I must say that specific center, that I cannot mention where it was super special because it was in a valley. So it almost created like a cauldron of energy that really held our transformation and added to the alchemy, almost enhancing and magnifying everything that we experienced there. So wherever you choose, remember that the land itself will become part of your experience. It will hold you, it will challenge you, and if you let it, it will support your experience. Before we go further into the juice of what happened at my level 1 ISTA training, I want to mention that everything that I will say in this video is my personal experience, my emotional journey. ISTA is a mystery school, and as part of its teachings, I will not share any particular tools, rituals, and practices that were applied throughout the training. So while I'll be vague about the technical details of what happened, I will describe the shifts in my body, in my mind, in my psyche. So you can get a better understanding of what kind of work happens in that space without taking away the mystery of the sacred process and honestly without spoiling it for you. The first day of my ISTA training was focused on getting to know the other participants of the training. We were about 48 people, including the assistants who experienced more than one level, maybe 2 levels before, and facilitators. We had 4 facilitators with 1 lead facilitator. And that first day was all about integration, and we were divided into pods, so small groups of people, maybe 5 to 6 people, that allowed deeper connection and sharing and becoming vulnerable for the next 7 days. Even though that first day was all about just introductions and getting comfortable, it was already surprisingly powerful for me. Being highly sensitive and able to channel energies, I immediately felt the intensity of the processes and the practices that we did. They brought up emotions I didn't even expect and that weren't even mine, as they bubbled up in the collective cauldron of energy that we created. And I ended up releasing a lot through some good old screaming. And in that moment, I already knew it was the beginning of some very intense, very transformative journey. And oof, little did I know what was coming. The next days of the retreat were focused on super transformative and deep shadow work. We explored a mix of therapeutical, psychological tools, shamanic rituals, and spiritual practices. Since I can't reveal the specifics of the rituals and tools we used, I will just focus on the highlights of my personal journey. Oh my goodness, I'm so red already. I can't even talk about ISTA without getting all flushed. One of my most intense ISTA experiences happened after a session where we discovered some tools, we explored some tools of emotional release. And after that session, we were led into meditation, just laying down, relaxed. And at some point, a song that I already knew played. It was a beautiful, beautiful song that I heard before in an ayahuasca ceremony, and I loved it very much. So as I knew the lyrics, I started singing, and at some point I felt drawn to sit up in a lotus position and sing along. And as I was singing, with every next word, I just felt my breath quickening and my blood just boiling up. It was like liquid fire just taking over my body. I felt like my hands were on fire, shaking as if I had some fireballs in my hands. And my body just started shaking. I didn't know what was happening, but I felt that surge of energy going through my body. The sensation escalated quickly and led to something I had never expected in my life. An overwhelming, full-body spiritual orgasm. I had seen those things before on the internet, people saying that they had Kundalini awakenings, but I always thought, oh, I don't know, that's true. You know, I'm very spiritual, but I'm also quite cerebral and I question everything. So I always had that suspicion that maybe they're faking it or maybe it's some kind of placebo effects. But in that moment, at my ISTA training, I had no doubts. That shit was real. It really happened. I did not ask for it. I did not expect it. It just spontaneously happened without me even expecting that would ever be a possibility. And it was beautiful. It was spectacular. It was something that I think I'll carry in my memories for the rest of my life. However, apart from beautiful, ecstatic, orgasmic experiences, ISTA trainings are in fact full of very painful processes that we all have to navigate and a lot of quite dark shadow work. As my friend said, ISTA trainings are triggering as fuck, and that is so true. You will be triggered over and over again, 7 days straight, with no way to escape it. But a huge part of the healing journey is facing those triggers head on. And even interactions with other people will become a mirror to yourself and to all those things that you push into the shadow and you don't want to see and you don't want to acknowledge. And now they just bubble up and they are in the surface and you have to look at them and you have to accept them, dissect them, and heal them. In ISTA trainings, in personal growth journey, I would say actually, nothing is random. The facilitators, the assistants, the participants, everything is a perfect match, is part of some greater design by the universe to help you heal and integrate the things that you are struggling with. So almost as some kind of cosmic joke, you very often end up in very intimate and difficult activities paired up with the people that trigger you the most. It's uncomfortable, it's intense, but it's also where the deepest growth lies. During an ISTA training, expect that traumas from your past will come to the surface. From your childhood, from your adolescence, and any other painful life experience you have had. And you need to be ready for that. There is actually a disclaimer on ISTA's website advising that if you have any unresolved traumas, it is better if you seek professional advice from a psychologist, psychotherapist before entering an ISTA training. ISTA work is centered on self-sovereignty and self-empowerment. So that means that whatever comes up throughout the training, you have to kind of deal with it on your own. While sharing with others is highly encouraged, no one will really give you any advice or try to fix your problems. And that is the beauty of the process. How often in your real life you are actually just listened to? How often you can just say whatever you feel and think, and people are not trying to fix you or give you some advice. I actually found it super refreshing. I loved it. I loved those sharing circles where we would just talk whatever came up and no one would say anything. They would just listen. I found it beautiful. And of course, there are facilitators and assistants that offer help and support, but you must know that those ISTA trainings are super intense and super packed. The schedule is full of activities, so you will not really have the luxury of having one-on-one support at all times. You will be expected to process and deal with whatever comes up for you independently. It's not easy, but it is a crucial element of your personal growth journey. Let's get personal. For me, a lot of things came up. A lot of things. Things that I have never thought I would ever speak to anyone, let alone a bunch of strangers that I have never met in my life. But it was just such a magical, intense cauldron of energy, and sometimes in the least expected moments, things would just come up to the surface. The emotion would be released without any conscious effort, almost as if my body and soul just knew exactly what needed to be expressed. So we had those sharing circles in the morning, and at the beginning, the first few days, I would just go very eagerly into the middle of the circle and share whatever was coming up. But then as the time was passing, I would feel less and less that I needed to express anything. And I remember that one particular morning when I thought, oh, today I'd really just want to sit and listen to other people and witness their processes and hold space for them without saying anything. So for an hour or an hour and a half, that's what happened. And then the circle was coming to an end, and the very last participant came to the middle, and she didn't really talk about anything that came up for her, but she sang. She sang a beautiful shamanic song. And as she was singing, I just felt something bubbling up inside me. It was almost as if something inside me cracked open and something came up. And I just felt almost like an anxiety attack, like my heart going crazy and my pulse quickening. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. And it was the end of the circle, so I couldn't go inside and release. But the woman that was sitting next to me noticed that something was happening. Actually, I can't believe that she noticed. It was so beautiful. And she became a dear friend since then, and our bond has deepened. She asked me, do you want to go outside and release that emotion? And I said yes. So together with her and another woman, we went outside and we sat on the grass, and I just released. It just poured, the words just poured out of me. I couldn't even control them, and I was crying and I was screaming, and this trauma that I experienced when I was a teenager just came up, and it was released. And they held space beautifully for me without offering any advice and words of consolation. They just sat there and observed and listened. And then, of course, as the schedule was super intense, they had to go back and they had to continue with the sessions. And I just stayed for a little bit longer. I just stayed for a little bit longer there on the grass, crying and screaming into the abyss and releasing. It was incredible. It was such a beautiful, powerful and intense experience. And I was so proud of myself that I could deal with that on my own. I didn't really need anyone to offer any advice. The women that were there offering their attention and space and witnessing it. But all the work that I did was just on my own, and that was highly empowering. And that's the thing about that kind of work. When something comes up, there's no avoiding it. You have to deal with it, and you have to deal with it on your own. No one will do it for you. But in that process, in that surrender, there is healing. So that was definitely one of the most intense experiences in my level 1 ISTA journey. And I have my own coping mechanisms, my own ways of processing intense emotions. And one of them is solitude and contact with nature. So on that particular day, after that critical moment, I decided to go for a long walk after lunch. We still had maybe 1 hour to enjoy ourselves, so I just set off, and I went to that high bridge, and then I went into the bushes, and I just started walking. And then I got lost. I got bloody lost. I knew where I was going. I could see the building, but there was a stream on the way, and I was trying to find a way to cross the stream, maybe some kind of log or bridge, but I couldn't find anything. And I was already quite desperate because the next session was coming up, and what I had to do was to just cross this stream on some rocks, holding onto the rocks and holding onto the branches of trees, and I got scratched all over my body. And in a way, it was such a lovely experience because I was so devastated after what came up, and so much in my head, overthinking, and that experience just brought me back to my body, and my survival instinct kicked in, and I focused on just getting back to the center, and for a moment I forgot about all the trauma and all the drama of whatever happened. So that was good. I think, grounding experiences like that always help. Oh, and one more thing, that's a little bit of a curiosity. I think from all that screaming, immediately after day 1, my voice changed. My voice suddenly became very hoarse and deep and husky. So when I spoke and when I heard whatever I was saying, it was almost like someone else was saying those things. It almost felt like I became a different person, like I shed a layer of my personality, and I got into some other kind of Elena, much more authentic, not just a little girl, but super sensual and unapologetic woman. So I really loved it. Through all those intense experiences, I realized how much trauma is stored in our bodies, that it's not just some kind of memory stored in our mind, but actually it is deep within our muscles, within the tissues of our bodies, within our energy centers. For us women, so much of that trauma lodges itself in the womb, in the uterus, in our genitals, the sacred space of creation. And that's where our root chakra and our survival instincts are. Unfortunately, generations of pain, suppression, suffering gets trapped there. And until we consciously work to release it, it just stays there and it festers and it makes our lives miserable, defining how we love, how we move, and how we exist in this world. ISTA made me realize just how much we store in that space. And through movement and different processes, I learned how to release it, how to work with it, and how to listen to my body. I have connected with my body in ways that I have never expected to, and I have never realized that it was even possible. There was a moment in my ISTA Level 1 training where everything shifted. My connection with my body, with my uterus, changed once and for all. I understood that it was not just an organ, just a part of my body, one of many. No, it was a sacred temple, a portal to something beyond the human understanding. It connected me with all the women of the world, all the women that have lived before, and their pain and pleasure, their ecstasy and despair, their desires and their wisdom. I could feel it all, as if my womb wasn't just mine. It was a gateway to the divine. And with that realization, something else came: reverence, and a deep knowing that we must honor that space, and we must be very, very careful and conscious of who we let in. Oh my God, how many times did I allow into that space someone who didn't really deserve it? And I've done that for all the wrong reasons, not out of deep desire and need to connect with another, but to validate myself, or for the thrill of adventure, or simply out of pressure. And that experience taught me that we should be very, very intentional about who we allow into that sacred space. And I'm not saying that we should all be virgins again and grow back our hymens. No, no, no. But we should always ask ourselves that question: is that person bringing something positive into my life? Do they bring joy, healing, and love? Or are they just a thief, breaking into the temple, stealing from it and shitting on its floor and then running away? True empowerment isn't just about sexual freedom, it's about self-sovereignty. It's about honoring the sacredness of our body, our soul, our energy. Because every connection leaves a mark, and we deserve nothing less than reverence. And this brings me to the very fear that I told you about in the beginning of this video. The fear that I had that maybe in my ISTA experience I would go with the momentum, and maybe I would feel pressured, and I would do something that later on, whenever the excitement wears off, I would feel very bad about. And I could not be more wrong. Quite the opposite happened. From day number one, there was so much importance put on feeling into your nose and into your yeses, and truly understanding, what do you want? What do you really want, and what do you not want? I think in my past I gaslit myself into doing things that I truly did not want to do. And since my ISTA training, I feel completely differently about that, and that feeling has not faded away. It's still here, and I carry it every day, and I know exactly at every moment of my life what I want, what I don't want, and how to say no in a polite, loving, and assertive way. And if I ever do something that I don't want to do, and I'm not only talking about intimate situations, but anything at work and in friendships, in relationships with family members. If I ever do something like that, I know I'm doing it, and I know why I'm doing it. It's not an unconscious conditioning that I don't realize where it comes from. No, it's a conscious choice. Okay, I am agreeing to doing something I don't want to do, but I'm doing it for the greater good. And I know that this is actually against my better judgment and against my instincts, but I choose to do it. Other than that, I just say no if I don't want to do something, and I feel perfectly comfortable with that. All right, so we talked about the spiritual and the shamanic in sex level 1 ISTA training. But what about the sexual? The juice of the matter. What about that? Let's talk about the sexual. Oh my goodness, where to start? Well, first of all, one of the biggest surprises for me was what temples, truly represented in the name International School of Temple Arts. Before that, the only association I had with that word was, ancient temples of Greece and Rome, nothing more than that. But in ISTA context, temples are ritualistic spaces where the spiritual and erotic merge, where connection, energy, and intimacy are explored with reverence and intention. Temple nights, whether within ISTA or outside of ISTA, because that's also available, are beautiful spaces designed to be sacred, nourishing, and energetically charged. Think candlelight, flowers, beautiful decor, wonderful, sensual, and sacred music, all creating environment where people can connect on many different levels through meditation, breath work, tantric exchange of energy, soaking up in beautiful, loving, nourishing cuddle puddle, or of course, for those who want more intimate and deep connections on a more erotic level are also available. And here, surprise, surprise, I thought from the beginning of the retreat that obviously at some point I would connect with someone on that level in a temple night. And I was excited about it, about the vision of doing that. There were some lovely men there, attractive men, and I was looking forward to that experience. I am a bit of an experience collector. I love new experiences, new adventures, and I could not miss out on that. But then, after that specific ritual where I connected so deeply with my uterus and I felt so much reverence for that sacred space, I just did not feel drawn to connecting with a man at all. At all. All I wanted was to lay down, immerse in the sacredness and beauty of sisterhood, soak myself in the cuddle puddle with my lovely friends there, and that's all. That was it. I did not want to do anything else. I had those thoughts, like those intrusive thoughts, oh wow, this is the last night, you should do something with someone, and then I just said, no, but I don't want to. My body was just very, very decisive on that. I don't want to. My energy went completely inwards. And in the past, maybe I would have overridden that reaction and I would go for the adventure because, oh my goodness, my bucket list, I have to check it out. But not that time. I just chose myself and I chose my body and I chose to be very gentle with myself, and I just stayed there hanging with my girlfriends, and that was it. Nothing more than that. So that's the whole irony of my ISTA experience. Coming into a space that has the reputation of being so sultry and sexual and erotic, I came out of it actually feeling very much in tune with my body and my boundaries, and not wanting to do anything with anyone. And that realization was so sacred, so profound, and so transformative, and it stayed with me for months and months until now. If I had to sum it up, ISTA Level 1 experience has profoundly shifted many, many things within me. The most important thing, of course, is the reconnection with my body. Truly listening to the subtle signals that it sends me. Deeply understanding what's happening within, and most importantly, honoring that wisdom. I'm actually not surprised anymore by the number of ex-partners of ISTA participants expressing their anger on Reddit. In fact, I myself ended relationship with someone after my ISTA training, someone I had been dating for a few months before that, and I think I had always known on some deeper level that the connection wasn't for me. My body knew for sure, because whenever we were connecting intimately, it almost felt like I was just shrinking within myself inward and trying to escape from the experience. And throughout that entire relationship, I was trying to intellectualize my way through it and rationalize things and find another excuse to give it another go, because there was nothing explicitly wrong about it. But my body knew. And that's the thing, we should really, really, truly listen to our bodies, because sometimes our minds don't know yet, they cannot perceive, but there's something that is wrong with the connection. And that's the beauty of intuition, that's the body language. So I ended that connection and I listened to my body and I honored its wisdom, and I am very happy that it happened that way. So, a word of caution: if there is anything currently that you are lying about to yourself, whether it's your relationships, friendships, your career, your job, whatever, things may shift after your ISTA training, because after the ISTA training you will not be able to lie to yourself about anything. It will just strip away any layers of illusion that you cover yourself up very meticulously, and it will bring you to the level of authenticity that you have never experienced in your life. And things will change, and the relationships that you have in your life most probably will transform. Another powerful lesson that I took from ISTA was learning how to navigate the storms of my emotions that I have struggled with my entire life as a highly sensitive person. And before that, it almost always felt as if those emotions were like tsunami. They would just come and wash away everything else, and they would just consume my entire being and my all thought processes. And thanks to ISTA, I learned how to navigate that and how to release them. We learn all those tools to deal with the emotions, to release them and let them go. But also, I don't know, that's strange, but I kind of learned how to detach from them in a way, not in a dissociative way, unhealthy way, but just to kind of observe them. I would just watch the emotions rise and fall like tides of the ocean, sometimes up, sometimes down, and I would not attach any judgment to that. Nothing is bad, nothing is good. It's just an emotion. It comes and goes. It doesn't define me in any way, which is really, really important to me, because my entire life I have been struggling with that, and I have been striving to be this super bubbly and happy and always positive person, and whenever negative emotions would come, I would judge myself so much for having them. And now I just let them happen. It almost feels like I am a scientist of my inner world, an observer, a researcher, an anthropologist of whatever is happening within me. I just observe, take notes, okay, let it happen, and that's it. And then the emotion shifts and everything's okay again. Another profound shift that I experienced after my ISTA training is my connection to my needs and my wants and my erotic nature. Something that has always been very vivid and alive within myself, but it was always obstructed in a way by my upbringing and by that very judgmental voice in the back of my mind. I am originally from Poland, from a small town in Poland, okay? And being raised in an ultra-Catholic country, in a very small, narrow-minded community, I have always struggled with being judged. I was surrounded by people who did not understand my level of freedom, and that has left a mark on myself, even though, you know, I live my life on my own terms and I do whatever I want, but there is that trauma deep down in my tissues that sometimes stops me from truly being myself and being authentic and express myself fully. But after ISTA, I feel deeply embodied in my truth. I mean, eroticism is beautiful. It's the juice of life. Why shouldn't we talk about it? It it's the life force. It gives us our creativity, our strength, our drive, all that beautiful energy. We can just channel it into creating amazing things, into writing poems, books, songs, creating art, into creating businesses, into creating empires, into helping people, into so many things. And it's an amazing, beautiful, magical power that we should embrace. And now I can talk about it openly, something that in the past I would never ever have imagined to talk about to a group of people. I would always be very open and authentic with my closest circle of my friends, but I would not talk about it like this in front of thousands of people, or well, maybe the 20 people that are listening to it right now. But now I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm just living my life. I'm just being myself. And last but not least, something that I am utterly grateful for is meeting amazing, wonderful, wise, juicy, fantastic people, just wonderful people that I have never expected to meet. I am so happy that I went to my ISTA Level 1 training and I met those people. And it is true that, okay, you will meet some people that will trigger the fuck out of you, but you will also meet people who are just on the same wavelength. They are your soulmates, they are your tribe, and you will maintain contact with them even if they're in different countries. And I definitely feel that I have beautiful sisterhood and brotherhood of people who are open and wise and non-judgmental and supportive, and that is precious and that is priceless. And also, ISTA is in fact a community. They create and they hold trainings all over the world, and they have a big community on Facebook, on Telegram, on Instagram. So wherever you go, you will find some ISTA people. So if you are on Telegram groups, you can connect with people. You go to a city in a different country, you go to Prague, you go to Warsaw, you go to Paris, you go to Lisbon, and you just find people who are ISTA, and you're gonna be good. You'll find them, you will go to some nice activities, some nice parties, and you will have a good time. I hope that this description of my emotional and spiritual journey with ISTA Level 1 sex experience is helpful, and it gives you a good insight into what ISTA is without giving away the mysteries and the sacredness of the process that it offers. At the end of the day, it's a deeply personal experience. The experience that you just heard about is mine. That's what I went through, with all the ecstasy and despair, with all the spiritual orgasms and traumatic experiences that came to the surface. For you, it might be different. It all depends on what phase of your personal growth you are at, and also on your openness to the process and how deep you want to go. And as I mentioned before, if you feel that you are in a fragile psychological state, I would suggest that first you seek help of a professional before entering ISTA, because it is a very, very intense shamanic experience, and a lot of things will be stirred within your psyche, and it might be challenging and difficult at times. So if you feel that you have the agency to deal with that on your own, go for it. Take that challenge, explore it, and let the process shift everything within yourself, within your soul. But if not, maybe wait a little bit longer. It's there, it's not gonna go anywhere. So first, of course, your mental health is the most important. And remember that everything that I'm saying here is my reflection 5 months after my ISTA Level 1 experience. So I had all the time to reflect upon whatever happened and to integrate everything. And it's not just an immediate reaction of being someone overexcited about all the magic that happened. No, I really went through the aftermath of the experience, and I felt the transformation deep in my bones, in my soul, in my entire psyche, to the point that I am ready for more, and I am going for level 2 next month. So wait for that. Maybe I'll make an immediate reaction video, and then after a few months another video including the integration and everything that happened afterwards. But yeah, well, let's see. Wish me good luck. So if after hearing all that you feel like ISTA might be exactly what you need at this stage of your personal growth, just go for it. Yeah, enjoy it, have fun with it, be open to all the experiences that happen, whatever it is, the good, the bad, the ugly, and let it transform you into a new and beautiful version of yourself. In the meantime, if you feel that this video was helpful, was interesting, and maybe you know someone else who is considering experiencing ISTA, share it with them, like this video, and subscribe for more wonderful reflections and, well, my adventures, if you found it interesting, obviously. And if you have any questions about ISTA, just ask me, let me know in the comment section below, and I will try to answer with as much authenticity and transparency as possible without giving away the mystery of the sacred ISTA process. And as always, stay radiant, stay powerful, stay unapologetic.